So, ladies and gentlemen, what's popping? Thank you for joining us. You know what I mean? Technical difficulties aside, we got Steph here in the building. I think you can hear her now.
Yep.
And I go on and jump into it again. Zion Williamson, ladies and gentlemen, is in for a big payday for 5-year, $231 million contract extension. Steph, what do you think about Zion Williamson's extension, and how do you think it impacts R.J. Barrett, or what R.J. Barrett is thinking about his potential contract extension?
One, I think he's going to want to get it done now as opposed to going to restricted free agency. And I'm wondering now if he's going to give the Knicks that discount. John's getting paid max. Zion played about 12 games,
right.
over the past season or so. He's like, look, if he could play 12 games or whatever he played and get near max money, I'm sure there's some injury protections in there as well. Y'all can't be getting at me about 180. I paid every single game,
Right.
So
Right.
I think negotiations might get a little harder for, I think that his camp will have a little ammunition. Look what Zion got paid. He was barely playing.
Right.
How much of a discount do you guys want? So
Exactly. And that's so RJ could be in for a big payday. The good thing is the Knicks won't have to pay him. Not the good thing, but the contract extension wouldn't kick in until 2023, 2024. Right? If they extend RJ and pay him, whatever amount of money. Obviously, Zion Williamson, he was the number 1 draft pick, so automatically his his contract from the beginning is already more than Ja Morant and RJ Barrett, right? And so now his extension, of course, is going to be a little bit bigger than both of those guys as well.
Right.
But yeah, I'm definitely, if I'm RJ, I'm looking at it and saying, hey, man, this guy hasn't even been on the court. I want my money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, with, he can, I think RJ would probably be, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because if he gets the extension and then, if he gets a max extension, the next season, he's the highest paid player on the Knicks. And it starts for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts for him. So we'll see how that goes. And if the Knicks have some time before they need to extend him, they can extend him. I think they have up until October to give him that extension. And then if they don't give him that extension, he'll be in a restricted free agent next season. If they give him a qualifying offer and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to get to that. I think the Knicks will extend it beforehand.
Right.
They're probably just working out and seeing what their money's going to look like. Yeah. So, we'll see. Ricky Rubio, he's headed back to Cleveland. He signed a 3-year, $18.4 million deal. That's not a bad deal for Ricky Rubio.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that probably means that what's his name is maybe out of there.
Rondo?
No, not Rondo.
Oh, Sexton.
Sexton, Colin Sexton. Maybe, Colin Sexton is probably going to be out of there. They'll probably be looking to move on from Colin Sexton. Let me see. Who else we got? Bruce Brown left the Nets on his way to the Nuggets. He signed a deal, 2-year deal worth $13 million with Denver. Of course, we know Mitchell Robinson signed with the New York Knicks. And I'm scrolling past a list of signings that went down. We'll talk about that Mitch signing in a little bit. We talked about it earlier, though. The Hawks signed Aaron Holiday as a backup guard. You got Otto Porter Jr. He signed with the Toronto Raptors. And that's interesting because one of the guys we're going to talk about in this show is OG Anunoby and whether or not the Knicks should try to make a move for OG Anunoby. And with Otto Porter Jr. headed there, play a similar position. He's not OG Anunoby. Now, he averages about 8 points and 6 rebounds a game, shoots 46% from the field. a good defender, but they got Scotty Barnes there. And maybe they're looking to say, hey, we got Scotty Barnes as our starter. We got Otto Porter backing him up. We can move on from OG Anunoby. And, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Theo Penson's going to remain with the Mavericks. Zach LaVine signed a big deal with the Chicago Bulls, as expected, a 5-year, $215 million max contract with the Chicago Bulls. So, he's staying put. The Blazers, they re-signed Yusuf Nurkic, all right, to a 4-year, $70 million contract. All right, he's one of the guys that they're, trying to build around Dame with. Robin Lopez, he's going back to Cleveland as a backup center. That's interesting. Okay. Let's see who we got. The Hawks sent Kevin Huerter to the Kings for Justin Holiday, Mo Harkless, and a first-round pick. All right. And Boston, Boston is stacking up. Boston traded for Malcolm Brogdon, right? So the Celtics sent Daniel Tice, Aaron Naismith, Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan, and a first-round pick to the Pacers for Malcolm Brogdon. And the Celtics also added Danilo Gallinari, right? So, Steph, what do you think about the moves that Boston made today?
I like them because they didn't give up smart. So you got Brogdon, who plays defense when healthy, can shoot the three, can score as well, very steady. He can come off your bench, and you've already proven that you can get to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. So if he misses games, you should be okay. You didn't give up any part of your rotation, actually, to get him. So I think that that's a good addition for them, as well as Gallinari in terms of experience. Being a stretch 4 as well, maybe even a small ball 5. Maybe. I think he's like 6'9", 6'10".
6'9", 6'10". He could be a small ball 5.
Yeah. So I like it for them.
Yeah, Boston is. As they should, right? They're going for the gusto,
right?
As they should. They just made it to the NBA Finals, and they're adding ancillary pieces that they believe can make them deeper and better. And Malcolm Brogdon is a huge pickup for him, right? Because now you can bring him off the bench to back up Marcus Smart, and maybe you don't even miss a beat,
right?
So that's definitely huge for the Celtics. Kevon Looney, he returns to the Warriors on a 3-year deal, $25 million deal. Rudy Gobert traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And, it's crazy. He's Minnesota. They sent Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Walker Kessler, who was a 2022 draft pick, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Balmaro, and several first-round picks to Utah. Minnesota's 2023, 2025, and 2027 first-rounders will go unprotected to the Jazz, while they also send a top 5 protected first in 2029. They're the first team actually to deal a 2029 pick. What's that mean for the Utah Jazz? We'll start with them. What's that mean for the Jazz? As far as, what they're planning to do.
I think they're retooling. They've said as much that they're going to retool around Donovan Mitchell. So that means that, at least for now, we out of the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. But I think that they saw that it didn't work.
Right.
That it didn't work. And that they need to put something different around Donovan Mitchell. Maybe they got an inkling that Mitchell wasn't happy, that he may request a trade. Maybe they're trying to avoid that by getting rid of Gobert and just bringing somebody else in to building a better team. around him. Because listen, Gobert's not an offensive player. How much help did Donovan Mitchell have? He didn't really have a lot of help.
Right. He didn't have a lot of help. I don't know. It's I don't know what's going on in Utah, to be honest with you. You know, and then of course with everything that they do, they're taking a chance. They're wondering, will Donovan Mitchell be happy with what they're doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if Donovan Mitchell is not happy with what they're doing, now what? Now what do you do?
Right.
You know, and you know, obviously there's rumors out there that the Miami Heat have made sent the pitch over to the Utah Jazz. You know, obviously trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell. Most people believe that the Knicks would be involved. You know, in trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell, but then there's rumors out there that the Knicks are not willing to part ways with some of their, with some of their draft picks and young players to sign a guy like Donovan Mitchell. I mean, in my opinion, I'm kind of like, well, what are you collecting these assets for if you're not willing to move them when a guy like Donovan Mitchell is available? Will he actually be available? I don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're not willing to move what are you waiting for? If Donovan Mitchell is available and these picks would get it done, I don't know what you would be waiting for. That's the rumor that's out there, about the Knicks. I don't know. But what do you think, Steph?
I hope that's not the case. When I read the statement, when it said like Mitchell, I'm saying like what? Like Mitchell personally or as a player, or like Mitchell in terms of a star?
Right. Exactly.
Because that's why you have the picks, to wait for a star to become available and to make your pitch. So I don't quite get it. Maybe they were saying, they did say something about championship contention. So maybe the thinking is that if they get Mitchell with this roster, they still wouldn't be championship contenders. Okay. You got to go out and you got to build around it. Other teams do it.
Yeah, you got to build around it. You got to figure out a way to get it done. But, when you have talent that's out there, you got to capitalize on it. If you don't capitalize on the talent, then, you can't let it pass you by because it may not always come.
Right.
You know what I mean? It may not always be there, so you can't let it pass you by. I don't know what's going on over there in Utah, and it probably, maybe he's not available this summer. Maybe even not by the trade deadline, but if it doesn't go well, you better believe he's going to be available when it comes to next summer.
Right.
You know what I mean? He'll probably let him know, hey, I want out. I'm ready to go. And then, people will start figuring out ways to get Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
Yeah. Now, any of these guys that are going to Minnesota, Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Walker Kessler, he's going to stay. He's a young rookie. Jared Vanderbilt. Would you be interested in any of these guys for the Knicks if they were to get waived or whatever?
I would like Patrick Beverley for the Knicks. I don't know where he would play. I don't know what that would mean for Quickly. I don't know what that would mean for Rose. But Patrick Beverley is like a Knick type, guard. So. Can you imagine Brunson being backed up by Pat Beverley?
Man,
that's
right.
That's pretty good. I like Vanderbilt as well, but he's not he's another one that's not an offensive player. He's a power forward. But he's pretty good defensively, rebounding, shot blocking. And when I say rebounding, I'm not talking about 8, 9, 10. I mean like rebounding, 12, 13, 14 rebounds. He can get you. He had plenty of games like that. So I like him, but I just don't know at the power forward spot where he would play.
Right.
But Pat Bev would be the one I would be most interested in.
Yeah, Pat Beverley would be. I would not mind having Pat Beverley here. The question is, where does he play? How do you fit him in? What do you do?
Right.
Yeah. Jalen Smith re-signs with the Pacers for a 2-year, $9.6 million deal. Then you got the Warriors sign free agent Dante DiVincenzo to a 2-year, $9.3 million deal. And I think that's a pretty good get for the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the guy can be a flamethrower. He's athletic. He's going to fit right in with what they do, I think. You know what I mean? So I think that's a pretty good signing for them. You know, Bryn Forbes joins the Timberwolves. All right. You know, that's about what happened today. Obviously, the big news, ladies and gentlemen, was, you know, what's going on in Utah. But for the New York Knicks, as we mentioned earlier today, they re-signed Mitchell Robinson to a 4-year, $60 million deal. And, you know, there's a lot of questions around whether or not this was too much for Mitchell Robinson. You know, does he deserve this amount of money? You know, for me, I was $15 million a year was my max. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go over that.
Right.
You know, and so you know, we ended up giving him, you know, $15 million. Basically, that's what it boils down to, $15 million a year. I do have his salary breakdown and what it will actually be, what the Knicks will actually be paying him year by year. So the first year he'll make 13.3, almost 13.4 million. In the second year, 14.4 million. The fourth year of his contract is 15.5 million, and then the last year he makes 16.7. Okay, so that's the breakdown of his salary at the, you know, not at the moment. That's the breakdown of his salary,
right?
And what it should look like for the New York Knicks and Mitchell Robinson. You know, are you okay with it?
At this point, yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping that Mitch hasn't peaked. I'm just really hoping that those defensive games in which he was dominant, if he can have more of those, he would have more than earned that money. I know some people, you know, it's hard to say, did the Knicks pay him for what he's done up to this point, or are they paying him for what they think he's going to do in the future? I like to think it's a little bit of both. I didn't see a lot of improvement in Mitch over the 4 years he was here, but I'm hoping that there's more to come. And I know you said earlier, Sam, it may not be offensively. I agree with you. But if he can be more consistent and have more of those dominant games, that'll be great as well.
Right.
If he's a double-double, one-block guy, and he's active, and this is him every single night, I'm good with that.
Right. How much do you think Hartenstein, how much pressure do you think he puts on Mitch to score a little bit more? And not that Hartenstein's going to average 15 points a game, but I mean, he's averaging 8 points in 18 minutes a game. Mitch is averaging 8 points in, 23, 24 minutes a game, right? So the rate at which he scores is higher than Mitch.
Right. Block shots as well, I believe.
Yeah, block shots as well. He averages like 1.1 blocks per game. You know what I mean? Right. So, again, that's, you know, that rate is a little bit higher than Mitch because he's only playing 18 minutes a game.
I think it does put pressure on Mitch. I mean, they're going to be playing against each other in practice as well. You know, and Mitch is going to, you know, and if Hartenstein is hitting shots and rebounding and doing those things and looking just as good as Mitch, who on a $15 million a year contract, I think it does put some pressure on him. But that being said, he's paid already. So, I mean, I'm not sure what can be done, you know, at this point. I hope it's inspirational, you know, and so he feel like, hey, I could do that too.
Yeah, right. You know? Hopefully, exactly. Yeah. We'll see, you know, how it goes with Mitchell Robinson. You know, I'm not mad at the contract. I do think it was a little bit of maybe an overpay for Mitch, and maybe in a year or two it won't be, depending on you know, the way the salary cap looks and how it goes up. It may not be an overpay for Mitchell Robinson, and it may turn out to be this is exactly what he gets. A lot's going to depend on how he performs.
Right.
You know. Again, like I said earlier, it does make for a good two-way center tandem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You get two guys that can block shots, but they play different styles of basketball. And I think you get two guys who can, at the very least, help out on the perimeter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They may not be, a defensive stalwart and shutting down, point guards and things like that. That's okay.
Right.
But they just got to do their job if they get caught out there on the perimeter. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I think they can do their job if that happens.
Right.
So
and
yeah, go ahead.
Maybe Mitch gets inspired over, him finally signing. I know the Knicks sent assistant coaches out to work with him. I don't know if that's any different from prior years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping they've been working on him to going just a little bit away from the basket.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Or even if he can't, just take the shots.
Right.
Even if he just takes them, it'll help. You know what I mean? If he can take it and hit the rim, the opposing team, the opposing team is like, okay, he can hit the rim. Maybe he can make it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it might end up, just helping the offense out that much more. You know what I mean? Do you think there's any chance that the Knicks made this? Because I think they could still sign and trade Mitch. I don't know if it has to. No, they probably can't. It can't. I'm not saying that they would or that it's in their plans, but it all has to be done at the same time, right? It's not like you can sign Mitch right now,
and then trade him later.
Trade him 2 weeks later.
Right. I don't believe so. I think actually, isn't there like you can't trade him for a certain amount of time? I would have to check. I would have to check that.
I know new players. Once you sign a new player, that a guy that wasn't on your team, there's a certain amount of time that you can't trade that player. I don't know about your players,
right?
Or players that were already signed to your team. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
there may be a shorter amount of time that you got to wait before you can trade those guys. But I think when you do a sign and trade, it has to be done around the same time. You know what I mean? I don't think you can just.
You could do it later.
You sign them now, and then 3 weeks from now, you decide that you're going to trade. I don't think it's like that.
Right.
Not exactly sure, but I don't think it's like that.
Right.
Pudge Nice said July 6th. So what is July 6th? That's the moratorium. When the moratorium
That's when you could trade them?
I don't know if that's when you could trade them. I think that's that's when the ink is actually gone. So here's the thing. Right now, everything is agreed in principle. So I guess July 6th is probably when you can actually start putting ink on paper. Right? So I'm assuming during this time, between now and July 6th, you can probably say, hey, we have an agreement with Mitch for 4 years, $60 million, but if you're going to trade us this guy, we'll make this move.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can probably do that.
Up to July 6th.
Up to July 6th. And then after July 6th, and you actually, it becomes official, then you probably can't do it then.
Right.
How do you feel about the front office this offseason, though? So far.
I like what they did in Brunson. This was the first time where I felt like the relationships paid off for us. Like, I wonder if we didn't have those relationships, would we have been able to land Brunson in free agency?
Mm.
I'm not sure. I think that was one of the selling points when they became Leon Rose and Worldwide West, as they call them. Is that what they call them? Worldwide West?
Worldwide West. Yeah.
Became, part of the front office, that they were selling these relationships. And so far, it hadn't really paid off as far as I could see. This is one time where I think it did. I think that made the difference, actually. So I like that. And I like the Hartenstein signing, actually. And I like the fact that they passed on Murray, because for me, it's one or the other. You're going to get Murray or Brunson, not both, because I don't see either one of those guys as star type players just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want to tie up, sign my cap space in Brunson and all my assets and first round picks and Murray. Now what are you going to do if a star becomes available? Because you still need one.
Right.
You know, so I like that. They chose to go with Brunson, and they're holding their assets patiently. I hope patiently waiting for a star. So I'm good. I'm good with what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. I get concerned a little bit about, do they rely on their relationships too much? I
Too
get
much.
concerned
Yeah,
about that
that's a fair
sometimes.
point.
You know?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, after your show, you got Clutch and you got CAA, right? The two biggest sport agent companies in the NBA. And the two, from what we know, like they kind of got beef with one another.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And hopefully, I don't know, do we even have any Clutch players on the team right now? I'm not sure. But, Clutch, they got a lot of players. And I would hate to see that, this conflict and these relationships, while it worked well for Jalen Brunson, turns us away from somebody else because they're a Clutch guy, right? And Clutch is like, no, we're not going to let you go to the Knicks because they're run by Leon Rose. He's a CAA guy, and they got all these CAA guys over there, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? I would hate to see that happen. And then, what about other guys who are signed to other people, and don't have those relationships intact? Can they actually bring those guys home? You know what I mean?
Isn't Hartenstein CAA?
He's CAA as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's another guy that, they've taken care of. I don't mind it. If you're going to take care of your guy, your people, you take care of your people as long as you're improving the team.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
If you're bringing guys in to make sure that people get paid and this and that, but the team isn't improving, then I think it's a problem.
Right.
Don
G. Graybeard said Cam is clutch, and it seems like the front office is a big on Cam. I hope that's not the reason.
See? Right. Exactly. I hope that's not the reason. So, I guess we'll see how that plays out as far as CAA and Clutch.
Yeah.
Do you think there's other moves that are going to be done this offseason?
I'm not sure. Because if we're not trading for a star, I think the roster is pretty much set now. And we'll talk about this later. If we have an opportunity to get over Fournier for OG Anunoby, I'm doing that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, like small trades. I know they called about Cam. They called about Fournier, trying to, gauge the market on them. So it's possible. They even called about Randle, but it wasn't a lot of takers from what I understand. So, yeah, I think so. I don't know about the big move, but yeah, some smaller moves are possible.
Right. I read earlier today that they're still making calls for Evan Fournier, to see if there are any takers for Evan Fournier, and I just wonder if it's because they want to make room for guys, or they think he's one of their best assets to trade because of his contract.
Right.
One of their best assets to trade to upgrade that position. You know what I mean? How would you feel about the Knicks? And I don't even know if the Raptors would have any interest, but trading Evan Fournier for OG Anunoby to be that starting three man.
Yeah, I would love it. I think it hurts our shooting a little. Not that OG is bad. I think he was 36, 37, and last year he was, the season before that, I think he was 39. So he's pretty good 3-point shooter, but a two-way player, Sam. I love guys like that.
Right.
That can give you something on offense and can also defend their position.
Right.
Don't underestimate what that does for your team. So I would do that in a minute. I think his contract goes 1 year longer than Fournier, I believe.
Yep, like 1 year longer. It's basically the same contract, around $18 to $19 million a year, but I think it goes 1 year longer. So in that aspect, you're committing to him. If you're the Knicks, you're committing to OG Anunoby. The Toronto Raptors get a little bit of salary break, which they may like. You know, I don't know if they would require. I'm sure they would require some kind of first round picks to exchange hands if they were to do that. But they probably can find better suitors out there for OG Anunoby or something they like a little bit more.
Right.
You know, than Evan Fournier. Would you move anything more than that? Would you attach picks to bring back OG Anunoby?
That's a good question. He's only 24. I might.
24. Yeah.
I might send one of those protected picks. I think we got like 22 picks, you know, 11 first round picks over the next 7 years. I think I would send one of those protected picks to get a 24-year-old two-way player.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. It seems like OG's been in the league for a while. It really does, but he's only 24 years old. You know, he fits right in. I mean, Jalen Brunson is 25 years old. RJ Barrett is 21 years old, or did he just turn 22?
I think he just turned 22.
He just turned 22, so he's 22 years old. Mitchell Robinson's like, what is he, 24 years old or something like that.
Right.
Even Julius Randle is 27 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, your entire starting five would be 27 years and younger, and then you got Emmanuel Quickly, that's 21, 22 years old. Quentin Grimes, that's 21, 22 years old. Cam Reddish, that's in the same age range. Obi Toppin is 24 years old. Hartenstein is 24 years old.
Right.
You know, Jericho Sims is 24 years old. He would fit right in with what the Knicks are doing. And, man, the Knicks are young. The Knicks are definitely young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way. If anybody complains this year and says, Tom Thibodeau don't play the young guys, then you got some problems. You know what I'm saying? Because he has no choice but to play these young guys because the Knicks are very, very young. You know, really young. Does that concern you at all? How young they are?
I mean, I guess not for where we are. What are we trying to do? Well, I'll put it this way. I would like not to have to count on young players as much for us to be successful. But a lot of it has to be that we don't have a lot of vets right now. I would like Obi to not have to count on Obi, to not have to count on IQ. We have to count on these guys to come through for us because we don't really have anyone else. A lot of other teams, you know, they're rookies, they're young players. They get to come along slow. You know, you're not really counting on them for the success of your team. We have to count on them for the success of our team next season.
Right. And yeah, this is going to be, listen, in your 10-man rotation, if Derrick Rose becomes situational, you know, and I kind of, you know, on your show, you know, changed my mind about Derrick Rose, and it's like, you know what, I think he'd be cool with being a situational player. You know, keep him around, let him be situational, move Cam in. You know, so now your backups are Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and Hartenstein.
Right.
You know, and you let Taj and Derrick Rose be situational players coming off the bench.
Right.
And I believe Derrick Rose would be willing to do it. It's going to be up to Tom Thibodeau. Well, Tom Thibodeau, say, I'm going to keep Derrick Rose on the bench. Yeah, that's another thing. But, you know, I think Derrick Rose would do it. And, you know, and if it's that way, then you don't have a glut. You know, if Derrick Rose is willing to be a situational player, you don't have a glut. And that's good. You know what I'm saying? That's really good.
Right.
You know, but you're going to be playing your entire 10-man rotation are going to be players 27 and under. Well, no. If you got Evan Fournier, and you know, then you're talking 29 and under.
Right.
You know, but that's going to be a pretty young team. And we should expect a lot of mistakes from this pretty young team.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of mistakes from these guys out there, but you know, it should be exciting, though, and fun to see if this group, this collective, can actually grow together as they get better and better and better. And and see what happens there.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that. Like, I'm looking forward to see what Obi has added to his game. IQ getting better, what Grimes has added to his game. I'm looking at Cam, RJ. So I'm Randall, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. But yet still, I'm always trying to add talent, though. You know what I mean? And upgrade the squad. And OG Anunoby, I think, would fit age-wise in with the Knicks perfectly.
Right.
I think we would miss that flamethrower type of guy that Evan Fournier is.
Yeah.
But OG would add a lot to this team. He could play both ways. He can shoot the three. He can create his own shot. He can post up a little bit. He can do a little bit of everything out there. And I think that would be a really, really good addition to the team.
And he would probably be our best wing defender.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he would be our best wing defender.
Yeah, and for those who are a little bit afraid that, Jalen Brunson is 6'1", and then you're pairing him in the backcourt with Evan Fournier, who is 6'7", but not really that great of a defender. For those who are a little bit nervous about that, you bring in OG Anunoby, you got RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. You should be able to put a pretty good defensive team out there on the floor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's something. That's something. If I'm the Knicks, I'd look towards Toronto and say, hey, let's make this move. What do you think it would take? I know we talked about Evan Fournier, possibly a first-round pick. Do you think that gets it?
I think Evan Fournier in the first or Cam in the first gets it done. But I don't know if they would want. I don't know if Cam fits over there. I could see them wanting a shooter. If you Onobi is on the block because he wants more minutes. Cam, I don't know. Maybe Cam's fits.
Yeah.
Whatever they want. You want Sims, you want McBride, other than, everybody else that's in our rotation. I'm, Fournier, Cam, McBride, Sims, a first, a second,
Yeah.
You got to inquire about somebody like that. You have to. 24 years old?
24 years old. Last year, he averaged 17 points per game. Let me see. I'm looking it up now to see what he averaged. Just his career averages are 10 points per game, 47% from the field, and 37% from three. Those are his career averages. The last couple of years, though, last year he averaged 17 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 1.5 steals per game. He shot 36% from three and 44% from the field. The season before that, he was 16 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals per game. Shot 39% from three and 48% from the field. And the season before that, again, he was 39% from three, 50% from the field, 5 rebounds, 1.5 steals per game, 10 points per game.
Yep.
Now, his injury history could be a problem, right? His first season, he played 74 games. Second season, he played 67. Then he's played 69. 2020 and 21, he played 43. 2021-22, which is last season, he played 48.
Well, maybe we can get him on that Brogdon deal because Brogdon was injury prone too, and Boston got him for a bag of chips.
Right. Exactly. Maybe. But man, 24 years old, I'd make that move. And, you do that, you got a young team that can, man, I mean, the Knicks already, with the way that this team is going to be like a pounded out type of team. You know what I mean? They're going to be an aggressive, bruising type of team. You know what I mean? When you add in Jalen Brunson and with the way that the Knicks already play, teams are going to come away after playing the Knicks sore. I'm like, damn, these guys come at you. You know what I'm saying? Does that relate to wins? We'll see. But teams are going to come out of there sore and hurting. And if you add OG Anunoby, that's another guy that's going to, do the same thing. Another guy that's out there that a lot of people, we were talking about it earlier on your show, that a lot of people are maybe sleeping on is TJ Warren.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's 6'8", 220 pounds or something like that. A true small forward. He could play both sides of the basketball, and he's not going to cost you any assets. He would be a low-risk, high-reward acquisition, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off of injury, what would be your thoughts about TJ Warren?
Yeah, I'm looking at his last 4 seasons, 19.6 points, 18 points, 19.8, 15.5.
Yeah.
Rebounds okay. Anywhere from 5 rebounds, 4 rebounds. And let me see about his 3-point shooting. Field goal percentage, 52, 53, 40, so yeah. I would love TJ Warren. I think it depends on where he is with the injury. From what I'm hearing, he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy, he doesn't cost a lot, you bring him in.
Right.
You bring him in, and they go into training camp and let the best 5 that can play together, that's the 5 you go with.
Right. Trey the Third said, I've been asking y'all about TJ Warren since All-Star Weekend. Well, we're saying right now, yeah, because I wouldn't mind bringing him in too. Mm-hmm. Gerard Charlotte said he doesn't fit the timeline. Whose timeline are you talking about, though? Because Julius Randle's 27. TJ Warren is 28 years old right now. Right. And he'll probably turn 29 years old. When you talk about, we got players that, Jalen Brunson is 25. Right. I think every team, Taj Gibson doesn't fit the timeline, if that's what you want to say. Derrick Rose doesn't fit the timeline, if that's what you want to say. I think if majority of your players are, that 21 to 25, it doesn't hurt to have a guy in there that's 28 years old, 29 years old. You know what I'm saying? I see Jerm Warfare say he's always hurt, though.
You're not giving up a lot for him, though.
Yeah, you're not giving up anything for him. You're only giving up cash for him. And if it doesn't work, right? If it doesn't work, then you let it go. I don't see where that really hurts.
Right. And this is the thing with timeline, Sim. With timeline is for teams who have identified who their core is.
Yeah.
Once you've identified your core, it's okay to have players who are outside of that core at different ages.
Yeah.
Right. Look what's happening in New Orleans when they brought in McCollum, and he actually, as a veteran, made that team better.
Mm-hmm.
Zion was threatening to leave, or there was rumblings that he didn't want to re-sign. McCollum comes, they go to the playoff. Zion is secured now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So look at Boston. They have their core, their young core, but they brought in Horford. So everybody doesn't have to be the same age. You identify who your core is. You keep them around the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody outside of that could be younger, older, vet minimum, 4 years. It doesn't matter. What the Knicks have to do is identify who their core is. I don't think the players have separated themselves, other than RJ. Right. So I don't even know who is our core at this point.
Right.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that by the end of this season, we will know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. And the thing with a TJ Warren is right now, who you have on the team. You would be adding him to this group. If he doesn't work out, you don't lose anything because you didn't give up a player. You still got the same group. If he works out and ends up being better,
right,
then now you have a decision to make. You say, okay, now, do we move Cam at the deadline because we got TJ Warren? Do we move Evan Fournier? How do we proceed from here? You know what I'm saying? So he's a guy that and I know I talk about the Knicks having a glut at the wing position sometimes, but I think he's a guy that you're going to be paying a low salary, and you really don't have too many allegiances to him. So if it's not working, you can waive him and say, all right, we're going to let you go play with, some other team somewhere. But this is sometimes how you got to add talent and pieces to your team, because if you get a TJ Warren and he's healthy and he's playing like he's been playing the last few years as a healthy player, I mean, in last season, well, he only played 4 games last season, 15.5 points a game, 52% from the field. But let's go to the season before that. He played 67 games, 19.8 points per game, 40% from the three-point line, 53% from the field, 4.2 rebounds per game, 1.2 steals a game. The season before that, although he only played 43 games, 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1.2 steals per game, shot 42.8% from the field. I'm sorry, from 3, and he shot 48% from the field. Season before that, averaged 19 points per game, 5 rebounds, shot 49% from the field, but he only shot 22% from 3. Right, but this is a guy that, when healthy, he can give you 20 points per game out there when he's healthy.
Yeah. And look at his steals, 1.2, 1.0, 1.2, 1.2.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think you could take a chance on TJ Warren and, have him there, have him in training camp. If it doesn't work, then you just say, you know what, we can move on from him. Margaret Edwards said, what about the youth movement? I don't think you're giving up the youth movement. You're adding him to the team, but you're not giving up any players. You're taking a chance on the guy, to see if he ends up being a player. Right. You know what I mean? You're taking a chance, but you're not giving up any of your youth. You still got your youth out there playing. 80% of the guys, even if TJ Warren was in the lineup, he would probably be in that lineup over Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier is 29 years old now. He's the same age, right? The rest of your players are going to be Julius Randle's 27 years old. Everybody else is going to be 25 and under. So you're still going to be playing with the youth. You know what I mean? Still going to be playing with the youth. I see people saying, Warren, why? Some people say, I like Warren. I mean, the reason why is because it's a low-risk, high-reward proposition. You could get him for maybe very, very cheap, and he could end up being very, very good. You could get him for very, very cheap, and if he's not good at all, then you can waive him. That's why you take a chance on some things like that.
Right. And also because you're looking for talent.
Yeah.
This is not just about, closing ranks around the players that's on your team and not bringing in anybody else if they're good. You got to bring in the best talent available. And if they beat one of your players out, they beat them out.
That's it.
That's what the game of basketball is. And you see that on pretty much every team.
Right.
That's what happens. Somebody comes into training camp and they're better than you. They get to play.
That's it. They get to play. JJ said, what type of contracts we're talking? We're talking about a veteran's minimum, maybe a little bit more, maybe a mid-level exception. Right? So you're not talking about anything major. You're not talking about, 3 years, $30 million. The Knicks don't even have that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have that kind of money right now to spend on a player. You only got mid-level exceptions or veterans minimum. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And I see Margaret said, I want the youth to play heavy minutes. They will be playing heavy minutes. They'll be playing very heavy minutes. You know what I mean? Let me see if this is going to work. Right? Because I'm trying to get this phone system back up, but I'm having all kinds of problems with it. I got to, speak to my carrier. Caller, are you live and can you hear me? I can I can barely hear you.
You hear me now?
You're very, very low. Let me see. Let me see if I can get this a little bit higher. Hold on for a minute. I'm trying to get this done here, my friend. Go ahead. Say something else.
You hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better.
Better. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, this is Zahim. I haven't called in a while since like the season's been over.
All right. What's going on, Zahim? How you feeling?
I'm right, man. I'm good. Like I see a lot of people upset about the Brunson contract. I'm not upset. I'm actually happy that we finally got a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to see like what the Knicks are going to do now because I feel like they're not going to trade Randle until maybe like the All-Star break. I think they're going to try to see like what they got, like see if he can work with a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to ask you guys, what do you think like about if they called the Raptors? I don't know if that's what happened. If they would take Pascal Siakam for Randle, would you like that trade? I know it had to be something else, but I don't know. Would you think they would do that trade?
I don't know. I don't think they would do the trade. You know, I mean, I like Pascal Siakam. You know, he's okay. To be honest with you, I don't even know what his contract is right now. To be honest with you, I would rather see what it looks like with Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle.
Right?
I want to, give it the season to see what it looks like. I think you owe it that.
Yeah,
Give it the season, see how it works, and then make a decision after the season.
He's like, I see people in the chat. I like that trade. Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking like I think they give it a shot. I'm just scared. Like I just hope we really have a good season. I'm just scared with Tibbs. Like our offense got to be different this year, man. Like they got to get an offensive coordinator. Like we can't be this so stagnant, basic offense we have. I just want to see like the team flow. Like I want to see Mitch get a little more touches. I just want to see RJ improve everything. I think they should keep Cam. I think they should give him a shot before they try to trade him. That's just my opinion.
Nah, I'm with you. I think that they will give him a shot before they try to trade him.
Right.
I think he's gonna get his chance. He's gonna get into training camp unless something happens the rest of this offseason and they make a move. I think he's gonna get into training camp. He's gonna get a chance now to prove himself in training camp. Now, if he comes out of training camp and he hasn't shown that he's better than Fournier or whoever else, then what are you gonna say? People, you can't say play him anyway because the Knicks are playing a gang of youth. Like Margaret said, she wants the youth to get heavy minutes. They're getting heavy minutes regardless because that's all we have is youth on the team. You know what I'm saying? So if he don't arch out, if he doesn't carve out his niche to keep himself in that circle of trust of Tibbs, he has nobody to blame but himself.
That's true. That's true. I just want to see the boy. I just want to see him do good. That's all.
Yeah, I hope he does. I want to see him do good too. I think he's the most talented player on the team right now.
We really need a good one.
Yeah, but
another one I was gonna ask. Like, I seen someone in the chat. It's something I was thinking about the other day. Would you trade Fournier and I don't know, they're saying Cam. I don't know, maybe someone else for like Kyle Kuzma for Washington. I like Kuzma.
Trade who for Kuzma?
Would you trade like I see Evan Fournier and I think they say Cam and like a pick or something for Kyle Kuzma?
And a pick? I like Kuzma.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little bit.
You think about that? Okay.
Yeah, I have to think about it a little bit. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. That's a good question, though. That's a good question.
I don't know. I'm just trying to see like what else they're gonna do. Like, because I see like reports that the Bucks are looking at Derrick Rose. Like, if we move on for Derrick Rose, I won't be mad because I'm like, I feel like the man needs a chance on a vet team anyway. I would like to see quickly more anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to figure out what else we're gonna do. All these weird moves.
We may end up going into the season with this squad right here, and going from there and seeing what happens, and then making some decisions at the trade deadline.
Yeah, because that trade today threw me off. The Gobert trade threw me off. I don't know what. I don't know what.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on over there. Yeah, I don't know, but hey, my man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the call.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it. All right, so it looked like that little system worked. We'll see. But we got someone else calling right in. My man Spree, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, Sim and Seth, it's always a pleasure. Happy Friday. How you doing?
Appreciate you, man. Actually, it's Saturday now, but
Saturday. Yeah, you're right. I'm excited watching the Shy. I lose what day it is, man. That's how it goes.
Oh, you said the Shy. Yeah, it's a new episode, man. I need to go. I need to watch that.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about Donovan Mitchell. I've gone back and forth on this probably for the last few months in my head, and this is what I'm thinking. Okay, hear me out.
All right, I'm listening.
If Donovan Mitchell wants to be a Knick, to me, it's very simple what he has to do. Tell the Jazz, I'm not playing for you. I'm only going to play for the Knicks. You can find me like Ben Simmons every day, or send me to New York. That's the only way I think we can get him for a realistic price. I mean, you saw what Gobert got today. And I just think it's going to be the Carmelo thing all over again if Donovan doesn't force their hand and just plays it out. And I don't even think we should trade for Mitchell right now. I think we need to see what this team is. Let's let it play out. Let's not panic and just throw everything away. I think we need to just let it play out. Let's see what Randle looks like early in the year. Let's see what Brunson now looks like with the team and RJ. And I don't know if Evan's here. We'll see. I like the OG Anunoby thing. But like with the whole Mitchell thing, I don't want to panic because I do like Mitchell. But I just don't want to be in a Carmelo situation where I'm forced and Carmelo doesn't wait it out patiently. I think if Mitchell – the only way I can see Mitchell coming is if he is very forceful and says, look, I want to play for New York. That's the only team I want to play for. If you don't respect that, then I'm just not going to show up.
That's a lot of heat to do something like that. That's a lot of heat.
Word up. It is. That's a lot of heat.
I mean, that's the only way I was thinking about it because, like, if the Knicks try and do this now, we're going to have to give everything away. And I'm fine with give away picks. They're going to ask for so much. I know Miami wants them to. And I'm just like, my whole thing is like, it's in today's NBA. Ben Simmons did that. I wouldn't disrespect Donovan. If Donovan did that, we'd embrace it. We love him. He's a New Yorker. Like, I wouldn't think any differently of Donovan. That Johnny Bryant got to make the phone call, use a different cell phone so they don't, so we don't get tampering violation. But that's the only way I see it, man. But I think we just got to be patient. I like what we've done. It may not, I don't know how many more wins we'll get this year with what we have if this is it, but like, I just think we just have to, everybody's got to relax. And like, there are people, Sim, if this was not the Knicks, people would not be killing the Brunson money he got. To me, I thought it was fine. Brunson's a good player.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
It's crazy how many people on Twitter are killing the Knicks, saying, laugh out loud the Knicks, look at what they gave Jalen Brunson. He's making like the 15th best point guard money. We haven't had a point guard since Jason Kidd was 75 years old for like half a season.
Right.
Come on, man. I just like, why can't we just give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt saying they filled a couple holes? This was the best they could do. Do I love the process to create the space in the draft? They obviously didn't love anybody. This is what they thought they could do. Jalen wants to be a Knick. He grew up in the organization. He saw the gear. He's wearing it. So they're finally getting motivated guys to play here. I just think we have to let it play out and just see where we are. Let's wait a couple months into the season, and then maybe Donovan can force out. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, you know, going back to the draft, I think once the Knicks weren't able to trade up and get Jaden Ivey, I think they kind of knew exactly what they were going to do. Right. I think they knew, hey, you know what? We're not getting Jaden Ivey. We're going to trade out of the draft. We're going to start freeing up this money for Jalen Brunson. And let's just say that they were able to trade up and get Jaden Ivey. Right, they would have still been able to go over the cap to pay your draft pick because you can. Then they would have been able to waive Ryan Arcidiacono, waive Taj Gibson, make the moves for Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks because that was separate from what they did in the draft. Right, I'm assuming that they would still been able to do that, so they still would have been able to sign Jalen Brunson and then have Jaden Ivey on the squad too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
I agree with you.
They were looking to say, if we can move up and get this guy, then we can clear this space so we can get Jalen Brunson, and now we got a 1, a 2, and a 3. They probably would have moved on from Evan Fournier and, did something like that. But, this is where we are now.
I agree with you. They had a plan. Whether you agree or disagree with it, they had a plan that if they weren't getting Ivy, this is what it was going to look like. We got Brunson, who is a nice player. I don't know what this team is. I really don't know. I don't know what Julius is. I don't know if we're going to get the Julius from the first year, if last year was I don't know. I just want to wait and see what we are first before doing something crazy like Minnesota did today, which I'm telling you, I still am confused. They gave away everything. I want to see where we are. Let Donovan work his inner circle with our people. If he wants to force out, we can have a conversation with them. I just want to know where we are. Let's not panic. We have a bright future. Like Steph said, we got to know who's a keeper and who's not. I still don't know because some of these guys need the minutes. We're going to give opportunity. I just think we as a fan base need to give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt here. They're trying to do the right thing. And I just think we can't do the old Knicks thing where we do a Carmelo and be held hostage. I just don't want to do that because I have nightmares of it. That's all I got.
Nah, I hear you. Spree, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your call.
Peace.
Yeah, thank you for your call.
Appreciate you.
We got another caller coming in. It is 12:30 in the morning. But that's cool. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please. Can you hear me? No, I don't know about that one there. Let's see if we got another one coming in. No, not at the moment. But you can call, ladies and gentlemen, 516-405-2246. Not going to be on for that much longer, though, because it is 12:30 in the morning. Are there any other moves out there, Steph, that you would, if you were the Knicks, that you would try to do? Or would you just kind of say, let me see what I got right here first with this group? Start trying to get them into some early workouts. Hopefully, I would love for this group to be able to get together in this month, start doing a few workouts here and there, and then, bring it into the season. Is there anything else that you would want the Knicks to do?
Yeah. I mean, to your last point, I think they are probably working out in Vegas. Summer League is about to start, and a lot of times, players will go down there to get some run in. So they might be down there practicing or, already. If anything they can do to upgrade the roster, I'm not, and I get some of the fan base, but my mindset is you always want to have the best players, available players on your team.
Right.
And so if there's any way to upgrade this roster, I would do it. I would do it. As long as you're not bringing in, over the hill guys, I would do it. OG Anunoby, I would definitely call Toronto and see what that is. And if he beats out Grimes, he's a better player than Grimes. Right. If he beats out Cam, then he's a better player than Cam.
Exactly.
I'm not clearing the runway for a player just so they can develop without any competition. That's just not how I see it. So I'm hoping they do that. I would take a fly on TJ Warren as well. I know he has an injury history, but when he was healthy, he could play, and he's a two-way player. Right. So if he comes here, if he beats out the players we have on our team and he's better than them, then we just have to find a place for those guys. Like, I'm just not clearing the runway for somebody with no competition, and we just going to keep you here and let you grow with how we know if they're not competing against other people. How do we know who they're going to be?
Exactly. I'm not trying to coddle guys, man. Not trying to coddle them. They let them fight through it and learn and deal with it that way. Let me see if I can get to this caller now. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Victor, Queens.
Victor, what's going on, man? Glad to hear from you.
How you doing? My bad before, man. I had my phone on mute. I didn't realize.
Okay, no problem. I get it.
So it's my first time calling. I wanted to talk about not so much what I'd like to bring to the team as what I want to subtract from the team.
Okay.
And it's two things. It's the biggest one is Randle, because I feel like our answer is there and you see him getting better with RJ. You see him getting better. But now with the point guard coming in with Brunson, you know, he's not Jason Kidd with the playmaking, but he's also, you know, he has leadership. You could tell he's been there now. He's been to the Western Conference Finals. He could have folded when Luka went down. They could have folded as a team all together, but he didn't. So that kind of leadership, it's going to help RJ. The kicking your feet when, you know, you're not hot and dragging your feet, not getting back on defense because you missed a couple shots like Randle does, that's not helping RJ. That kind of mentality is going to, the kids that we care so much about, that's going to eventually rub off on some of them, because you started seeing Mitchell Robinson doing it when he started getting fouled a lot. You know, teammates go over to him, tell him calm down, and he's like, get off of me, stuff like that. Like, that's from Randle. Eventually, some are going to pick up the good habits, some are going to pick up the bad. And I feel like RJ, he should take, you know, like that next step without Randle. We got to see what we have in RJ without Randle. The same way, I'm not saying he's Harden, but when Harden left OKC, he exploded when he didn't have that person in front of him that was, I won't say KD and Westbrook was holding him back, but now that he actually became the man, he took off. And that can be RJ, especially with Brunson. I would love the Anunoby suggestion y'all made because he's so young. But the TJ Warren, he would be cool too, but he's not as cheap as you guys are making it seem. I saw that he's projected anywhere between 15 to 18 million a year. We don't have that money no more.
No, we don't have that no more, and I'm not paying him that much money.
Nah.
Ain't no way.
Because then he'll get hurt, and then we'll definitely be a laughing stock.
Right? Yeah.
I had a problem with the Brunson. Yeah, I had a problem with the Brunson contract before it actually happened. But when I saw, I believe his name is Anfernee Simmons going for 25, I saw Lou Dort going for 18. Mm-hmm. The contract is no problem no more.
Yeah,
he's going to be a great addition.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing. You know, here's the thing with Randle, and you know, everyone's going to be on that train about, you know, moving on from Julius Randle. I can guarantee you there's 150, 200 other guys across the league that have done a lot of the same exact things that you've seen Randle do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm all about believing and feeling like, you know, you got to give a guy a chance to grow. You know what I mean? And see, okay, now you got a guy that's going to be handling the basketball. He's going to take some pressure from you. How do you handle it? How do you come back from that? You know, like that tells a lot about a person. You know, a lot of people say when things get tough, you learn about a person, and you do. You learn about a person, but you also learn about a person when they have a chance to respond and when they have a chance to come back from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of that tells a lot about a person. He could learn from this and come back as a better player and say, you know what, I got to stay focused. I got to do this. I got to do that. Or he could come back and be the same thing, and they say, this ain't going to work. We got to move on from it. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I think you got to give it a chance with having a guy in there that's going to take the pressure away from him. You know, going to have the ball in his hands. We think is going to be, I don't want to say maestro out there, but really be your leader out there on the floor. I think you got to see if it works. Right. And you got to see how it looks. You know what I mean? And then make a decision from there.
Right. Especially since his value is so low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why, though. His numbers are not bad.
No, his value is low because of
29 and 5 assists.
Yeah, his value is low because of everything that happened last year. The attitude, right?
The attitude, yeah. That's
because
all
of everything
it is.
that happened. Yeah, so that's why his value is low right now. You know, but I think you got to give it a chance to see how it looks.
Right.
See,
I agree.
You know, how it goes, and then make a decision from there.
I actually had one more thing, if it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so strongly about this, and the chat might crucify me for this, man, but we gotta, as Knicks fans, we gotta step away from the putting out there the scenarios we know is not gonna happen, so we have something to argue about, like to complain about, like play the kids, give Toppin more minutes. There's a reason he's not getting more minutes. There's a reason. I don't know if y'all want to look back at his numbers when he does get those minutes, his efficiency goes down. He's not ready yet. If you throw him out there too early and he's not ready, then you're going to flip on him. You're not letting him develop the right way. I would rather see Randle, even though I want to trade him, I'd rather see Randle get traded at the deadline because he did just enough to get a good package back, and then Toppin, now he's ready to go out there. Now he's ready. He worked on his three. He worked on his defense because Toppin and Mitchell Robinson front court, I don't see that working. I really don't. Not right now. I really don't see it working. Quickly, not a point guard. He's not. He doesn't. Every time I see him, it's I want to shoot first. Hero ball. He needs to learn. They got to develop the right way, the same way RJ did. He's developing the right way. For granted, he's starting, but he's developing the right way.
Okay. All right. Hey, I agree with you about, sometimes, fans come up with, some of these crazy scenarios and this and that. But that's what fans are, man. Fanatics. We're fanatics.
Definitely.
And, we're going to be, we're in it deep. But, hey, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you
All
both.
right, Vic. All right, have a good one. People are going to be, I was thinking about this earlier today. I was like, man, we could win the championship with Randle or go to the finals, and people are going to be like, man, but you got to get him out of here. I'm telling you, we're not going to win three. We're not going to win 3 in a row with Randle. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. People can't stand Randle. But I mean, Randle's a ball player. He just got to get his head on straight, but he's a ball player. I see someone put up, he had 41, 31, and 75 splits this year. Yeah, but that's not his career averages. You know what I mean? His career averages are much different than that. Last year was a bad year for Randle all the way around.
No doubt about it.
Bad year for
And
him.
I think people underestimate. Look around. If you're going to win in this league, and I get it, and I'm with the fan base in terms of Randle imploding, but my issue is just that if he's imploding, you can't count on him. That's all I'm talking about. Like, can I count on him to stay level-headed down the stretch of a game? That's my issue with Randle.
Right.
But you need talent to win in this league.
That's it.
You need players that can play. And that's a reason why, even though players have flaws, if they can play, they always get another opportunity.
That's right.
Because they understand you need talent to win in this game. And I think that may be, why the Knicks are holding on to Randle, or maybe they weren't able to let him, trade for him because his value is low. That's okay. You can't get that production anywhere. And I hear people say, forget the production, blase this, blase that. You need that production if you ever want to win in this league. And one of the things we underestimate about Randle is his gravity. Just you have to pay attention to him when he's on the floor.
That's
and it
it.
opens things up for others. You take him away, you could play everybody else straight up.
Right.
Like, who you double teaming on the team that's going to make it easy for IQ or easy for Grimes to get shots.
Right.
So I think we're kind of underestimating that. But I agree. His mind has to be right.
It's got to be there.
His mind has to be right.
Yeah, it's got to be. And like you're saying, he just impacts the game. It makes the game change when he's out there on the floor. It impacts the game tremendously. You know what I'm saying? And you can't get that with everybody. You got guys who can score 15 points a game, but when they're out there, it's like, okay, he's not really impacting the game. You know what I'm saying? Randle impacts the game, like it or not. He does.
Right. And whether they're double teaming him because he's good or they're double teaming him because they know he's going to turn the ball over, it's still a double team. And it opens things up.
Right.
It opens things up for, for other players. And you can't underestimate that. And let's take that off. We're going to be good. Oh, so-and-so is ready. Yeah, you're ready until that smoke comes. And they start defending you and double teaming you, and now you look like you don't even belong.
Right.
So,
right. And I see Knicks Boulevard said he impacts the game when he actually plays like a power forward. But you know what? With having Brunson there, you
Right.
might actually see him just be a power
Right.
forward. You know, and that's why I think you got to see what it looks like. Big shout out to Brian Ortiz. Thank you for the super chat. He said, "Let's go Knicks." And then Jarrell, my man, I'm Jarrell. Jarrell was at the draft party, ladies and gentlemen. He said, "Salute to the MBK fam. Late night Knicks." Yeah, late night Knicks, early morning Knicks.
Right.
We got 700 people on too, so I appreciate all of you for being on here. Now, caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
This is Bobby. I'm from Brooklyn, but I live in D.C. right now.
Okay, all right around the corner.
Right. So I'm a former hooper, right? And when I hear some of these people call in and they talk about Julius, he didn't have a good year last year, right? But here's my thing. When I was in Europe, I played on some horrible teams. And I got double teamed a lot, and we weren't that good. So I could kind of see it from his perspective. You know, the team's struggling. You know, he's trying to make some things happen, and he's going to show some emotion, right? So I think we give him a pass because, as you said earlier, his numbers, you know, over his career, they're not what they were this past year. This was 41, 31, 75. Those were his splits.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he normally is. And not to mention the fact you had Alex Burks running a point, you know, and I love Alex Burks, but the reality is he's not a point guard, right? I think the one thing that Knicks fans keep missing, we didn't have a point guard. We had nobody to get us in our set. We had nobody to put us in, you know, the position, or our best players in a position to actually be effective. And then we keep talking about the fact we got to get rid of Randle. We got to get rid of Randle. Well, if I was Julius Randle, I would be frustrated too, right? Because I got to do everything else, and then I don't have nobody helping me, put me in a position to actually be successful. And then not to mention the fact that Tom Thibodeau actually enabled some of the BS that, you know, Randle was doing. So it's hard sometimes to listen to some Knicks fans, you know, say, hey, you know what, you know, we got to get rid of Randle. No, Randle's a good player. You know, he got what he needed, and that was Jalen Brunson. And I think Jalen's going to help him out, and he's going to help everybody out.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And I think he will. I think he's definitely going to help out Randle. I think it's going to be a big help for Randle. But Bobby, hey, I appreciate your call.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to move on because we got, you know, I'm going to be getting up out of here in just a couple of minutes. But I appreciate your time, Bobby. Big shout out to Trav B. Ryan. Trav was at the draft party. We had a great time there. He said, if Randle and RJ shoot 45%, we're good. I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? If Randle and RJ, I mean, you know, I don't know if that's taking us, you know, to the 4th seed, but if they shoot 45% from the field, you know, that's going to help us out tremendously right there, you know, tremendously. But Steph, I am going to get up out of here. It's 1 o'clock. I appreciate you for staying up with me. And
I didn't yawn either. I didn't doze off.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you for, you know, staying on. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. You guys are rocking with us. Talk Knicks. I'll be on again tomorrow night, you know, to just do a day 3 wrap up and see whatever else goes on with the New York Knicks. But for now, I am going to head off and, you know, get some rest.
Yep.
Get some rest and you know, get ready to see what kind of things take place in the NBA tomorrow. Steph, any last words before we get out of here?
No, thank you for the show, and looking forward to see what else the Knicks do in free agency. And if we can get Anunoby, I'll be happy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, I guess we got to push that narrative out there. You know what I mean? Push that narrative. But ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Have a great weekend. If I don't talk to you, well, I will be on tomorrow. So, but I appreciate you all, and have a great day tomorrow or later on today. We out of here.
Later on today,
Peace.
right?
This is MBK. nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.